Hey, everybody, thanks for showing up tonight. We'll go ahead and get the meeting started. My name is Barbara Boschert. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with the Remedial Projects section at the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. As you just heard, this meeting is being recorded. This is the community public meeting for the 56th Street and Earl Drive Water Quality Assurance Revolving Fund, or WARF site. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. on the dot. We are going to have a couple of presentations tonight. First one will be on the proposed remedial action plan for the site, given by the project manager, Nicole Osuch. A couple of housekeeping things. We're happy to take and answer any questions on the presentation. We ask that the questions be held until the end. We're happy to take any questions verbally. Also, feel free to ask them in the chat. Your controls may be at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on what kind of hardware that you're using. You can ask a question in the chat. Again, we will answer it after the presentation is over. When we're discussing the presentation at the end of the chat, you can also raise your hand if you'd like. There's a reaction button also in your control section. If you click on that, you'll see a raised hand icon. You can raise your hand there and we'll call on you if you'd prefer to ask your question out loud and have a dialogue with Nicole. So we will make plenty of time to answer everyone's questions as we go through the evening, so don't worry. Let's see. The recording of the meeting as well as the presentations will be available on the ADQ website by the end of this week. I'm also happy to email them to anybody that would like them. Just contact me after the meeting. My contact information will be made available tonight. So feel free to do that as well. So let me take down the agenda. Here's the agenda of what's happening tonight. We're going to first do the presentation with Nicole. We're going to talk about the presentation. Then we're going to have a short presentation to try to get ourselves some community advisory board members. We had a community advisory board for this site for quite a long time, and it became inactive several years ago. We'd like to get some more members and develop the board again. So we just got a little presentation to try to drum up some interest in that. So let me pull the presentation up and turn it over to Nicole to introduce herself and get that going. So let me pull that up for you, Nicole. 1 second. And let's see. Oops. Hold on. There you go. Take it over, Nicole.
All right, we're still seeing the Community Advisory Board
You are.
slideshow. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Try it again.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Barb. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Barb said it. My name is Nicole Osuch. I'm the project manager for the 56th Street and Earl Drive Wharf site, which is in Phoenix, Arizona. Next slide. So we're going to start by just reviewing the wharf process that's laid out in our statutes. As you see at the top there, the first thing is a preliminary investigation. It's kind of a desktop review, some data collection to determine whether the site will move forward with scoring and listing it. Next step is actually listing the site if it scores and becomes part of our wharf universe of wharf sites. During that time, we're also doing a potentially responsible party or PRP search, and we could potentially be doing early response actions or ERAs as well. After that, we move into the remedial investigation phase, which is where we're characterizing the contamination in whatever media is contaminated. And during that, we're also doing a land and water use survey and also determining the remedial objectives. The next phase is a feasibility study, which is really the comparison of remedies. And it's to try to select the best remedy for the site. And then it goes to the um, proposed remedial action plan, or the PRAP. The PRAP proposes a final remedy and it calculates the costs of the remedy. And then that is currently where the 56th Street and Earl site lives, is in the PRAP. Well, it was published in June 2025. It's currently going through a public comment period, which ends September 18th, 2025. And the next step is the ROD, which is the next step in the process. It's a record of decision. It's the state's final decision on the site remedy. After that, it moves into implementing the remedy, the O&M of any kind of systems that are going. And once the site meets remedial objectives, you remove it from the registry. So again, public comment period ends September 18th. All right, next slide. So just an outline, we'll do just kind of a brief site update, talk about what's in the proposed remedial action plan, or PRAP, and then talk about what comes next. And next slide.
My buttons are sticking. I apologize. It's not wanting to go to the next slide. Hold on. Oh, sorry, something is stuck here. Apologies. Try it again. I'm gonna have to stop sharing for a second. I'm sorry. Something's stuck on my screen. Sorry about this. Let's try it again. How's that?
Just need to go to the next slide. There we go.
There we go. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Site map. Where is the site? The site is at 56th Street and Earl Drive in Phoenix, Arizona. Earl Drive is like the halfway point between Thomas and Osborne. It's at the northwest corner of 56th and Earl. That yellow box up at the top that's circled by a teal circle is the location of the main source area, which is a former Motorola facility. The red dots on the map indicate SRP wells that are nearby, and the boxed areas are there to represent the Motorola 52nd Street Superfund site. Next slide, please. So just a quick site summary. What are our contaminants of concern, or COCs? We have trichloroethylene, which is also known as TCE, and we have tetrachloroethylene as PCE. Those are the two mains. The sources of contamination, again, the main source is the former Motorola facility. Motorola became Freescale and then is now NXP. Some of the other sources include a 1-hour Martinizing, a wash right, and a cleaning by George. Right now, the groundwater is the only media that's currently exceeding a regulatory standard. And we do have an early response action in place. It is a groundwater extraction and ex situ treatment system, which is commonly called pump and treat, or using the acronym P&T. And we'll talk about that more later on. And then we do have the one SRP well as a receptor. Next slide. So 2024 groundwater quality, NXP collected groundwater samples in April and October 2024. 28 different groundwater monitoring wells were sampled. Data indicated that the groundwater flow is to the southwest. The chart at the bottom, the contaminant of concern, TCE, PCE, and then we have our aquifer water quality standard in micrograms per liter. It's 5 for both. And the maximum concentration found at the site, 140 for TCE and 13 micrograms per liter for PCE. Next slide. So again, we have the yellow box is our main source area at the 56th and Earl intersection. There's a blue dot up towards the tip there. That blue dot is where the highest concentrations in the plume were found. So again, TCE at 140 and PCE at 13 micrograms per liter. Again, the groundwater flow direction in to the southwest, and those boxes representing the Motorola 52nd Street site. And then if you can see a red dotted line out towards the left-hand side of the box, that is the capture zone of the Motorola 52nd Street OU2 Superfund site's treatment system. And we'll get into that again a little bit later on. Next slide. So this is a groundwater quality update. It's showing data. It's the maximum concentration of TCE found within the plume over time. It could be any well. It kind of puts into perspective from the lifetime of the site when it first started to be investigated. In the plume's heyday, it was over 6,000 micrograms per liter. And again, the 2024 samples, the highest concentration found was TCE at 140 micrograms per liter. So between work done at the source plus the ERA, we've significantly, the groundwater quality has significantly improved over time. Next slide. Groundwater early response action update. All right. So the pump and treat system has 2 groundwater extraction wells. It uses liquid phase granular activated carbon to treat the incoming or influent water. It's designed to treat 1,000 gallons per minute, but it averages about 330 gallons per minute. And then the treated water is discharged to the Grand Canal, and that discharge water meets drinking water standards. Next slide. All right, so the treatment system began running as an early response action in November 2013. It was offline from in April 2022 until December 2024 due to a change in designation of the Grand Canal water usage from irrigation to drinking water and the permitting process. An arsenic treatment system was installed. That way, the treated and or discharged water would meet permit requirements and allow year-round operation. So it was brought back online December 5th, 2024, after the arsenic treatment system was installed. And to date, over 1.1 billion gallons of groundwater have been treated, and we've removed 277 pounds of TCE from the groundwater. All right, so a little bit about the PRAP, the Proposed Remedial Action Plan itself. So it was published in June. Again, the comment period open until September 18th. What a PRAP does, again, it proposes a remedy and puts a price tag to it. So at this site, the existing early response action is the remedy that's going to move forward with for the site. So a little bit about the pump and treat. Again, two existing extraction wells, liquid phase granular activated carbon, treated water is discharged into the Grand Canal and meets drinking water standards. It's designed to treat up to 1,000 gallons per minute, but it averages about 330 gallons per minute. And for the arsenic treatment, it was an Evoqua Water Technologies PV high pressure liquid phase absorption system that was added to remove arsenic from the extracted groundwater so it could comply with the surface water permit. Also, part of the remedy is monitored natural attenuation, or MNA. So dispersion appears to be the major contributor to NMA, while biologic degradation is going to require a little bit more monitoring to fully assess it. M&A is going to consist of routine groundwater monitoring to look at the data regarding the contamination at the site. Dispersion is going to be assessed based on VOC concentration trends and plume shape from lab analysis of groundwater samples. And biological degradation will be assessed based on dissolved oxygen, oxidation reduction potential, iron, manganese, nitrate, sulfate, methane, and ethane, and analysis of the groundwater. We're going to be sampling 7 monitoring wells for M&A parameters in years 1 and 2 semi-annually to establish a baseline. And after that, we're going to be sampling those 7 wells on years 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 to monitor the attenuation conditions. And then that groundwater data is going to be used to evaluate plume migration, ensure the plume is stable, and ensure the M&A is actually working. So the program will include semi-annual to annual water level measurements and groundwater sampling with annual reporting. It'll be about 66 samples per year. The number of wells that we're going to monitor and the frequency we're going to adjust over time in response to the changing groundwater conditions. And at a minimum, the number of wells and the frequency of monitoring will be evaluated and updated every 3 years. So we'll look at the whole remedy every 3 years. M&A is going to continue until the concentrations of the contaminants of concern drop below the aquifer water quality standards in all site monitoring wells. And, M&A is slow and it's a little difficult to measure. So the existence of the Motorola 52nd Street OU2 groundwater pump and treat system that I mentioned earlier is adjacent to the site, and it serves to protect the uncontrolled migration of the distal end of the plume that is beyond the 56 groundwater extraction system. So that really means that whatever's not captured by the system, it attenuates or it goes to the Motorola OU2 remediation system as a backstop. And it's important to note that the existing public supply wells, there's no existing public supply wells between the 56 extraction system and the OU2 remediation system. Also part of the remedy that's in the PRAP is installation of 2 new groundwater wells, just due to the uncertainties of the boundary at the top of that distal end. And the time to complete the remedy is going to be 20 years of the pump and treat system, and then along with M&A, and then 10 more years of M&A all by itself. So Barb, if you'll go back to slide 7, the map, if you could point a couple of things out. So the 2 extraction wells are located along the Grand Canal, right there in the middle of the plume. And that pump and treat system is just to the right where the kind of bunch of those lines intersect, the Grand Canal, the OU2 line, and the 56 line. And then again, that red dotted line over on the left side is the capture zone for the Motorola 52nd. Again, no existing public supply wells between the 56 and the OU2 systems. And then the two new wells on the north side of the distal end. So kind of like right under the McDowell street name and SR 202, kind of right in that area. We're going to put two more wells. All right, we can go back to the other slide. Thank you, Barb. So, well, one back. There we go. So remedy cost. On this slide we have the cost for the monitoring well installation. We have the cost for the groundwater monitoring, for well abandonment once everything is cleaned up and done, the periodic remedy review, the system pump and treat system operation maintenance, the system abandonment costs once we're done using the system. So all of those are totaled across and then to annual costs. And then if you add the annual cost going downwards, the total cost to run this remedy over its lifetime is just over $12.6 million. And I will note that that includes a 3% inflation factor. Next slide. So activities for the next 12 to 18 months. The pump and treat system is going to run. We're going to be doing the semi-annual groundwater monitoring and sampling. Again, the PRAP public comment period ends September 18th, 2025. And all the public comments that we receive will get incorporated into the record of decision as a responsiveness summary. And that's it. So if there's any questions out there, please let us know. And this is obviously Barb's contact information as well as mine.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Don't have any in chat at the moment. Stop sharing that for just a moment. Okay, does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask out loud of Nicole, or any comments? Nobody? Okay. Are these slides available? Yes, they are available. I can email them tonight if you want to leave your, well, I probably have an email address for you if you're registered for the presentation. They'll be up on our website by the end of the week. You can download them directly from the website, or I can email them to you, like I say, tonight or anytime this week. If you'd like them emailed before Friday, just let me know. You can put it in chat. Yes, I'll be happy to do that. Anybody else that would like them emailed before Friday, just put in chat. I'll be happy to do that. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Nicole is saying she cannot unmute. I'm not sure why. Anyone else? Everyone should be able to unmute. If you can't, just put something in chat. Hi, Laura.
There we go.
There you go. Did you have something to say, Nicole? No, just wanted to unmute. All righty. Well, if anybody has anything else that you can think of, feel free to email Nicole or I, and we'll be happy to get any answers to you that you need. So let's move on with the agenda. Thanks, Nicole, for that. The next item on the agenda would be to go over community advisory boards and what they are and how we would love to have some people interested in community advisory boards here for this site. Let me pull up a quick presentation for you. Quickly. All righty. Oops. Oh, did it again. Apologies. All right. Hopefully that's showing up. All righty. So if you haven't heard of community advisory boards, they are just what they sound like, advisory boards made up of community members that help assist the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality with getting the word out to the community as to what's going on at our cleanup sites. So what is a community advisory board? Board of Concerned Citizens, interested citizens, members of the community that live, work, or are interested in properties or living near the cleanup sites that we have in Arizona, to relay to the community what's going on at these cleanup sites. What do cabs do? We call them cabs. Well, they both advise us, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, as to what they feel the community might be interested in about the cleanup sites, and they also take the information that we give them to the community. So they share with the community information that we provide at our community advisory board meetings about these cleanups, and they also provide the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality with their own views about what's going on, as well as the views of the community. So ideally, our community advisory board members, they go out into their communities to their neighbors and their own community groups, their churches, their social groups, and they say, hey, there's this cleanup going on. Let me tell you about it. You know, you should be interested in this. And they get the opinions of their neighbors and their friend groups about what's going on. And they bring that back to our community advisory boards, or even better, they bring them to our community advisory board meetings to tell us what they think about what's going on so that we hear the voices of the community each step of the way of these cleanups at a meeting just like tonight's meeting. So as I said, for this site, we've had a community advisory board for many years, but we do have to have a minimum of 5 people to have a board. And unfortunately, we fell below that number a few years ago. So we just need a few more people to establish this board again. And I know we have a lot of contractors on the call tonight, maybe other regulators, but pass the word around. We can have anybody on the board who are CAB members. Like I say, anybody who has an interest in the site. You can live near the site. You can work near the site. You can have an interest in the site. So the interest can be maybe you're a politician. Maybe you own property there, a rental property. Maybe you, work for the city and you're just interested in what's going on. So anybody that has any interest in the site in the area can serve on our community advisory board. Do you have to be a technical person? Do you have to be a scientist or a contractor to understand what's going on? No, that's our job. Our job is to explain what's going on at the site to you in terms that you will be able to understand and take to your community members in terms that they can understand. Here's what's going on in a language that everybody can understand, um, and bring it back to us. So these boards are for everybody to understand what's going on in a common language and get the community involved and informed. We want the community involved and informed about everything that's going on in these cleanups all the way until they're fully cleaned up. So, how do you join our community advisory boards? Well, contact me. Send somebody my way. Give somebody my phone number or my email address, and I'll be happy to give them the paperwork. You just have to fill out a little form saying, yes, I'm interested, and that's it. Then we have a meeting and you get to be on the community advisory board. It's very simple. Our boards meet generally about once a year. It's not a huge time commitment. Meetings last an hour or two. They're just like this meeting, basically. They're real simple time commitment. You put in as much as you want to on it. Um, so it's all what you make of it. So that's it. If you know anybody who's interested, please have them contact me. We'd love to have you on our board, or if you know somebody that might be interested, please let us know. Does anybody have any questions about our community advisory boards?
John has a question.
Okay.
John, do you want to go ahead and unmute? Are you able to unmute? Let me see. Go ahead and try.
Hi, sorry for being late. I am on and have been on the cab for 10 years,
Yeah.
and I apologize for being late. I'm I'm also representing some questions from a member of the cab who's also been a longtime member, Ginny. Goodness, I just forgot Ginny's last name. Nevertheless, she wanted to know if the information that's been discussed and posted today would be also available on a website, which I told her I didn't even know if there was a website.
Yes, it'll be on azdeq.gov.
Okay.
And we have a specific page for this project. So the 56 and Earl Wharf site, we have a specific page for it. So
Someone was kind enough to give me that in the chat.
yes. So you can go directly there. You can also contact me. I can email it to you, tonight, obviously.
Okay. And that would be wonderful because I believe you do have my email address.
Yeah.
It has been quite some time since we've had any kind of cab meeting, actually I think COVID got in the way of any kind of real activity. Is this going to be the protocol for the future, doing things over Zoom?
It doesn't have to be. We can do in-person meetings. So as I mentioned, excuse me, unfortunately we fell under the number of people required to keep the cab active, which is 5 people. So the cab isn't sort of officially active at the moment. But we can have public meetings anytime. If the public, if we get a request for, I should say in-person public meetings. If we get a request for an in-person public meeting, we can do it in person. If we have a cab and they prefer to do an in-person meeting, absolutely we can. So no, not necessarily 100% virtual. We do whatever the community wants. We just did it tonight because that's how we set it up, but we can do whatever we,
Well, actually, in many ways, it's very convenient.
Yeah.
Because we did have members who had transportation problems and finding a location for the meeting. We had a lot of different organizations donate space for us to hold our meetings. And of course, before COVID, most of the system, the recovery system down on 32nd Street in the canal, was installed and operating properly. In my last meeting, we had a report from, forgetting the name of the semiconductor company that was actually, or the actual vendor who was required to do that. And you probably have already covered that in your previous meeting. I apologize if I'm going over something that's already been discussed, but to make a long story short, the system seemed to be doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It stopped the plume from 56th Street from going under the canal and going any further. And they've been doing recovery operations, as far as I know, since then. Is that still the case? Is the pumping and filtering station still working and returning that water to the canal?
That's something you can answer, Nicole? Nicole says she can't unmute.
Yeah, I can't unmute myself. Sorry about that. Yes, the pump and treat system is still installed. We had a slide on there since it's been running since November 2013, pulled
Right.
out 277 pounds of VOCs from the groundwater and treated over 1.1 billion gallons of groundwater.
That's a great success, and it's something I was very proud of. I actually, at one point, when they built the facility and was going to commission it, I wanted to do a local barbecue to let the neighbors know what the heck was going on. But sadly, the cab voted that down. So, and the system is working well, and that's really ultimately the final step here, because eventually the system will start drawing fresh water after all of the plume is actually drawn through the filtering system. So as far as I can tell, there's no reason for us to be worried about this particular cleanup site, because we're doing everything we can to contain it and to safely dispose of the toxins. So I'm very proud of this system, and I'm glad it's still running.
Yeah, it's doing well out there. Thank you, NXP.
So as it stands right now, we're under the, I guess saying a quorum is wrong, but we're under the 5 minimum members. May I ask how many we have? I know there's at least 2, Ginny Ann Sumner, and me. But I'm not aware of others. We haven't really
Yeah.
done any outreach.
The last I knew was 4. I'm not sure about the 4th one though. I'd have to double check. It's been a while since I've looked. Yeah.
And I would think that there would be some sort, I mean, the first I heard that we were under quorum was when this particular meeting was put together. So I was like, oh, okay, well, we need to go out there and find neighbors and friends in the area that would like to participate in the cab. And Ginny Ann was pretty interested in finding out when that occurred, when we actually went under 5. But we weren't getting any information about that. Because believe you me, Ginny Ann and I can go out there and we can scare up members. We live right over the thing, so.
Okay, I'll be in touch with you then. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll email you about that or call you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything else they would like to talk about or comment on? All righty. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Appreciate the turnout. Thank you for taking your time out of your evening to show up. If you do have any questions, please call or email Nicole or I if you need any information, any more information. And hope to see you at another one of our meetings. And we will adjourn the meeting at 6:37 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thanks, Barb.